They told DJ Khaled he would never play the Grammys. They said it to his face. And his answer was a song nobody in the music industry saw coming, a song built on a guitar riff borrowed from 1999, the most wanted pop star on planet Earth, and a hungry kid from Louisville nobody expected to survive on the same track as Rihanna. What followed was a billion-view monster, a chart robbery that still makes no sense, a Grammy night that broke the internet, and the most shameless sample flip in modern music history that somehow ended in flawless victory. This is the story they never told you about Wild Thoughts. And once you hear what really happened behind that Santana guitar, you will never hear the song the same way again. June 16, 2017. Remember that date, because the summer of 2017 was decided on that single day. DJ Khaled was already standing on top of the world. His album Grateful was 1 week away. His single I'm the One had just debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the first chart topper of his entire career, after more than 2 decades of grinding. Every label executive in America was watching him, waiting for him to fumble the momentum, waiting for the follow-up to flop. And instead of playing it safe, DJ Khaled did the most dangerous thing a hitmaker can do. He touched a classic. Understand what Wild Thoughts actually is at the DNA level. Underneath Rihanna's voice, underneath the drums, underneath everything, sits the guitar of Maria Maria, Santana's 1999 monster with the product G&B. A record co-written and produced by Wyclef Jean that spent 10 weeks at #1 and won a Grammy before some of Wild Thoughts' listeners were even born. That riff is not just famous. It is sacred ground. Flip it wrong and the entire culture turns on you in 48 hours. DJ Khaled knew that. And he reached for it anyway. Now here's the question that hung over the entire record like a storm cloud, and we are going to come back to this, because the answer matters. Did Carlos Santana actually approve? Because artists have been publicly humiliated for touching legends before. Sample flips have ended careers. Lawsuits have vaporized fortunes. Keep that question in your pocket. We'll open it later. But a dangerous sample is only half the weapon. You need a voice that turns a beat into an event. And in 2017, there was exactly one voice on earth that could do that. Rihanna. You have to remember where she was in that moment. Auntie I had dropped the year before and rewritten her entire legacy. Work had owned the winter. She was no longer just a pop star. Rihanna was a gravitational force. Every producer alive was sending beats to Rihanna. Every DJ was begging for 16 bars from Rihanna. Getting Rihanna on your record in 2017 was like getting permission to print money, and DJ Khaled had been chasing that feature for years. Not months. Years. He has said publicly that he kept asking, kept pushing, kept showing up, because DJ Khaled operates on one law. The answer is never no, it's just not yet. And when Rihanna finally said yes, Rihanna did not email in a verse. Rihanna took ownership of the entire record. Listen to how Wild Thoughts actually opens. Before a single drum lands, before the hook, before anything, DJ Khaled stamps his signature, the tags, the brand, the announcement that this is an event, and then she walks in with a challenge. Not a melody. A challenge. I don't know if you could take it. That's not a lyric. That's a dare thrown directly at the listener. 8 syllables, and you're not allowed to leave. Then Rihanna does something almost no pop star would dare to do on a global single. Rihanna leans all the way into her Caribbean DNA. The cadence bends. The vowels stretch. That famous naked line, playful, taunting, completely unbothered, is delivered in a flow that sounds closer to a Barbados block party than a Billboard formula. She wasn't performing on the track. Rihanna was colonizing it. And that is exactly why the record works, because Rihanna understood the assignment before anyone else did. This wasn't a DJ Khaled song featuring Rihanna. This was a Rihanna record that DJ Khaled was smart enough to build the frame around. And then the hook hits. Wild, wild, wild. 3 words. That's the entire architecture. Music executives spend millions of dollars chasing what his team did with 1 syllable repeated 3 times, a mantra so simple that a child in Lagos, a teenager in London, and a grandmother in Miami could all sing it after hearing it once. The phrase Wild Thoughts appears so many times across the record that it stops being a chorus and becomes a spell. That is not an accident. That is engineering. And study the texture of Rihanna's delivery one more time, because this is the detail casual listeners miss. Rihanna doesn't belt on Wild Thoughts. Rihanna barely raises her voice. The entire performance is built on restraint, lazy, confident, almost conversational, and that restraint is exactly what makes the record feel dangerous. Any vocalist can shout desire. Rihanna whispers it, and the whisper wins. Producers have been trying to reverse engineer that vocal placement for years, and nobody has fully cracked it because it was never a technique. It was Rihanna being Rihanna at the exact moment Rihanna was untouchable. Rihanna's second verse is where the record goes from flirtation to threat. The 68 Jets line. The diamonds ain't nothing when I'm rocking with you line, and notice what Rihanna does there. In a genre built on worshipping jewelry, Rihanna dismisses diamonds with a wave of her hand, because when Rihanna shines with you, diamonds are irrelevant. That's not a flex about money. That's a flex about power. And then, keep it white and black as if I'm your sister, her drawing a boundary line inside a seduction record, telling you the rules even while Rihanna breaks every one of them. 2 verses. That's all Rihanna needed. 2 verses to produce what many people still consider one of the greatest feature performances of the entire decade. But here's where the story takes a turn nobody predicted. Because DJ Khaled didn't stop at Rihanna. He put a third name on the record, and this is the decision that could have destroyed everything. Bryson Tiller. In 2017, Bryson Tiller was the most dangerous kind of artist, beloved by the culture, doubted by the machine. Trapsoul had made Bryson Tiller a star out of Louisville, Kentucky, a city the industry map barely acknowledges, but the Whisper campaign had already started. They said Bryson Tiller was a one-album wonder. They said the Trapsoul sound was a trend with an expiration date. And his second album, True to Self, was literally dropping the same month as Wild Thoughts. The pressure on Bryson Tiller in June 2017 was suffocating. And he looked at all of that pressure, all of that doubt, and said, perfect. Give him the second verse. And Bryson Tiller did not play it safe. He delivered the darkest, rawest, most unfiltered verse on the entire record. While she seduced, he hunted. The Wu-Tang echo. The Dust reference. The Usain Speed line. The Jason Slaughter reference, a horror movie villain name dropped into a summer love song. Program directors must have been sweating. Because Bryson Tiller's verse is the reason Wild Thoughts never became background music. You cannot tune out during his section. The tone shifts. The temperature drops. Bryson Tiller turns a Caribbean daydream into something with teeth, and then hands the record back to Rihanna like nothing happened. That is the alchemy people still don't fully appreciate about what DJ Khaled built here. 3 completely different energies. DJ Khaled, the conductor. Rihanna, the flame. Bryson Tiller, the shadow. On paper, that combination should collapse under its own weight. Superstar features cancel each other out all the time. You've heard 100 songs where 3 names fought for oxygen and everybody lost. But he sequenced the record like a film. Rihanna opens the door. Rihanna builds the world. Bryson Tiller complicates it. Rihanna closes it. Nobody is fighting for the spotlight because he assigned the spotlight before anyone entered the booth. Say what you want about DJ Khaled, and people have said everything about DJ Khaled, but orchestration is a skill, and Wild Thoughts is DJ Khaled's masterclass. Then came the video. And this is where the numbers go from big to absurd. Director Colin Tilley took the whole production to Little Haiti in Miami, and what came out of those streets is, without exaggeration, one of the most visually replayable music videos of the streaming era. The saturated colors. The block party energy. The parrot on DJ Khaled's shoulder. And her in that off-shoulder turquoise top, the red dress, glowing against the Miami night like the entire city was built as her backdrop. Every single frame was engineered to be screenshotted, posted, and shared. And it worked. The Wild Thoughts video didn't just go viral. It moved in permanently. Here are the numbers, and read them slowly. Over 1.3 billion views on YouTube. Billion with a B. Nearly 7 million likes. A comment section that turned into a yearly pilgrimage site, fans returning every single summer to declare that the song never aged, that Rihanna never missed, that Bryson Tiller was criminally underrated, that DJ Khaled caught lightning in a bottle. The video became a time capsule that people reopen every June like a ritual. Almost no record in history sustains that kind of seasonal resurrection. Wild Thoughts does it without trying. And the parrot. Never overlook the parrot riding shotgun on his shoulder like a Build co-star, because even that bird became a meme within 72 hours. Every element of the shoot was engineered for replay value, and the replay value compounded into something closer to folklore. Music videos are supposed to spike and vanish. This one settled into the permanent rotation of internet culture and simply refused to move out. And don't overlook what the video did for fashion and for Miami itself. Her looks from that shoot were dissected in Vogue-adjacent coverage and copied across every fast fashion storefront within a month. Little Haiti got a global postcard it never asked for and absolutely deserved. DJ Khaled has always treated music videos as block parties with cameras, but this one crossed into cultural document, the rare visual that made an entire neighborhood feel like the center of the world for 3.5 minutes. But now we have to talk about the robbery. Because this is the part of the story that still doesn't sit right. Wild Thoughts debuted and immediately ran into a wall, and that wall had a name. Despacito. The Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee phenomenon was in the middle of one of the most suffocating chart runs in Billboard history, and week after week after week, Wild Thoughts pushed against it and could not break through. DJ Khaled, Rihanna, and Bryson Tiller peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100. Number 2. A song that would define its entire summer. A song with a billion-plus view video. A song that outlived 90% of the number ones of its era, permanently frozen behind the biggest hit of the decade. And history has rendered its verdict. Ask anyone today to sing Despacito past the hook, then ask them to sing Wild Thoughts. One of those songs became a memory. The other became a season. And Bryson Tiller carried his own weight in that war. While the headline battle played out between the titans, his presence on the record kept the R&B bass locked in and gave the song a second front that Despacito never had to defend. Without Bryson Tiller's verse, this is a pop record. With it, the song became a cultural event that belonged to everybody at once. And understand the human drama buried inside that chart war. DJ Khaled had just scored the first number one of his life with I'm the One. 20-plus years of rejection finally answered, and 4 weeks later DJ Khaled was knocking on the door again, denied by the most unstoppable chart force of the modern era. Most artists would be devastated. He turned the number 2 into a victory lap because he understood something the chart watchers didn't. Number ones are rented, but anthems are owned. Despacito owned the summer of 2017 on paper. Wild Thoughts owned the summer of 2017 in the streets, in the clubs, in the cookouts, and ownership. It turns out, compounds. Because everywhere else, the scoreboard was merciless. Wild Thoughts went to number 1 in the United Kingdom. The record was certified platinum over and over and over again in the United States, eventually reaching 9 times platinum. 9. Radio couldn't escape it. Clubs couldn't escape it. Weddings, cookouts, festivals, car stereos from Miami to Manchester. DJ Khaled didn't just have a hit. DJ Khaled had the soundtrack to an entire summer, and he knew it. And then came the ultimate insult. Grammy season. The nominations arrived, and Wild Thoughts, one of the biggest records on the planet, with her at the absolute peak of her powers, with Bryson Tiller delivering a career verse, with DJ Khaled conducting the summer, was shut out. Not overlooked in the major categories. Shut out entirely. The industry machine that never believed in DJ Khaled, the gatekeepers he had been calling out for years in his speeches and his snaps, had looked at a billion-stream cultural event and said, not good enough. Remember what DJ Khaled revealed later? They told him he would never even play the Grammys. Never perform. Never touch that stage. That is what the establishment thought of DJ Khaled. A walking catchphrase. A social media clown. Not a musician. Not a threat. January 28, 2018. Madison Square Garden. The 60th Grammy Awards. And DJ Khaled walked onto that stage, the stage they said he would never touch, with her on one side and Bryson Tiller on the other, and performed Wild Thoughts in front of the entire industry that had shut the song out. Think about the audacity of that booking. The Recording Academy refused to nominate the record, and the record showed up anyway, on the biggest night in music, in the middle of the show. That's not a performance slot. That's a hostile takeover. And then Rihanna detonated the internet. Mid-performance, Rihanna broke into that dance, the shoulder shimmy, the swagger, the pure joy, and within minutes, the clip was everywhere. It became a meme before the broadcast even ended. Time magazine covered the meme explosion. The performance trended worldwide. Millions of people who hadn't watched a single Grammy Award suddenly knew exactly one moment from that entire night. Rihanna dancing during Wild Thoughts. The gatekeepers kept the trophy. She took the night. He took the stage they swore he'd never see. And the kid from Louisville they called a fluke stood on the Grammy stage in his first year of eligibility and outlasted every whisper. Score the night however you want. The song they refused to nominate became the only thing anybody remembers. And for Bryson Tiller personally, that night was vindication with a timestamp. True to Self had debuted at #1 on the album chart just months earlier, silencing the sophomore slump narrative, and the Wild Thoughts verse reintroduced Bryson Tiller to an audience that had written Bryson Tiller off as a mood, not a movement. Features are supposed to be borrowed shine. Bryson Tiller turned his into a second career launch, proof that the Louisville sound could stand next to Rihanna on the biggest stage in music and not blink. Now, let's open that question from earlier. The Santana question. Because this is where the story goes from victory to something almost mythical. Carlos Santana didn't just approve the flip. Carlos Santana celebrated it. When asked about Wild Thoughts, Santana spoke with genuine love about hearing his guitar reborn for a new generation, praising the record for carrying the spirit of Maria Maria forward instead of burying it. Think about how rare that is. Legends usually tolerate samples at best and litigate them at worst. Santana embraced this one. And Wyclef Jean, who helped build the original, gave the record his respect as well. The gatekeepers of the classic blessed the remake, meaning he didn't steal sacred ground. He was handed the keys to it. The greatest gamble of his career ended with the legend himself applauding from the front row. And that blessing is exactly why the song refuses to die. Because something strange started happening a few years later. A new generation discovered Wild Thoughts on TikTok and short-form video, kids who weren't even in school when it dropped, and the comment sections filled up with a new kind of shock. Wait, this is a sample? The song became a gateway drug into music history. Teenagers who came for her left knowing Carlos Santana. Kids who came for the vibe left knowing Maria Maria. DJ Khaled accidentally built a bridge between 1999 and 2017 that is still carrying traffic today, long after most of 2017's #1 hits have evaporated from memory. And there's one more layer that makes Wild Thoughts almost haunting in hindsight. Look at what happened to Rihanna after 2017. The music slowed, then stopped. The Fenty empire rose. The billionaire era began. And her feature, once the most reliable event in pop music, became an endangered species. Which means Wild Thoughts captured something that can never be recreated. Peak Rihanna, fully unleashed, on a summer anthem, at the exact moment she could still be convinced to step into a booth and take someone's record over. He didn't just get a Rihanna feature. He got one of the last great Rihanna takeovers of the era. Nobody knew it at the time. Everybody knows it now. And step back and look at what he actually proved with this record, because it reframes the entire career. For years, the joke was that DJ Khaled just shouted on songs other people made. The critics said he was a hype man with a contact list. But Wild Thoughts is the receipt that ends that argument forever. DJ Khaled chose the sample nobody had the nerve to touch. He chased the feature everybody wanted and couldn't get. He bet on the underdog the industry doubted. He sequenced 3 clashing energies into one seamless record, built a video that became a billion-view landmark, turned a chart robbery into a cultural coronation, and walked onto a stage he was banned from in spirit. Every single decision on that chain was DJ Khaled's. Remove DJ Khaled from the equation and Wild Thoughts does not exist. That's not a hype man. That's a producer, an A&R, a strategist, and a showman operating at the same time, and the culture knows it now, even if the culture is too proud to say it out loud. So let's settle this in the comments, because the debate is still wide open. First, was Wild Thoughts robbed of #1? 9 times platinum, a billion views, an eternal summer, but forever #2. Tell me that's not the greatest almost in modern chart history. Second, genius or theft? Is flipping Maria Maria the smartest sample of the 2010s, or did DJ Khaled simply rent someone else's greatness? And third, the one that starts wars, is this Rihanna's greatest feature ever? Better than everything she touched before or since? And where does Bryson Tiller's verse rank? Because some people genuinely believe Bryson Tiller walked away with the whole song. Pick a side. All 3 fights are happening below. But here's the final word, and it belongs to the architecture of the whole thing. They told DJ Khaled he would never play the Grammys. He answered with a borrowed guitar, the biggest star alive, a kid nobody believed in, and 3 words repeated until the whole world chanted them. The charts robbed him. The Grammys snubbed him. And the song outlived everyone who doubted it. That's not luck. That's not a catchphrase. That's a blueprint, belief weaponized into a beat. DJ Khaled said it for years, in every interview, in every speech. They don't want you to win, so you win louder. Wild Thoughts is what winning louder sounds like. And if you think this story is wild, wait until you hear what really happened the night I'm the One went #1, the phone calls, the bidding war, and the Justin Bieber verse that almost never existed. That's the next story. Until then, run this one back. You know you were going to anyway.